Okay, men are jealous and upset over other people who have their. Listen, we have never healed. They have is it Cress Wilson or another female doctor? We have never, since we got put on this side of the world,
Dr. Francis Cress Wilson.
Cress Wilson got proper healing. We just went through phases. When Marcus asked this man about racism, and he says, "Does it affect your life?" It already had a foundation, and it still holds true to this day. You could even look at the Constitution. You're 3/4 of a man. Still, that's not out the Constitution. Redline and COINTELPRO.
But how has racism prevented you from being successful in your life at 51 years old?
How has it prevented me?
Correct.
Dude, there's certain things that I had to go around to get where I am right now. I have been profiled. I've been thrown in Bronx police cars and beaten by cops that were not from my neighborhood, that took the opportunity to snatch up young kids in the South Bronx and get it off on them. That's racism. I've been put in public schools and told that if my mom put me in a better school so I could get a better education, while white people do it and they get a slap on the wrist, you can't do it and you'll go to jail. There are actual facts regarding that. When I started working at the communication company, there were white boys that would not teach me. So I had to get real good at with my eyes. When I did manhole and learned, they would cover. And I would have to peep and try to take all the information in. And then I learned that way. That's racism. 28 years later. Okay, let me just go back to 2001. They had to be side by side with me in the bucket brigade when we was digging bodies out of 9/11. You understand? A lot of them are dead now, but I'm still here. You can't tell me about racism. I saw it every day when I had to deal with these rednecks side by side, had to eat crow. 28 years later, still getting profiled. It's not prevalent, or you just want to keep saying that. You are not where, listen, you get in your little subsects of town where it's safe and comfortable, and then you get numb to what's really going on out there. It is still prevalent. Ahmaud Arbery, Tamir Rice. Hello? That didn't happen?
I'll never negated any of that from happening.
Okay, that is racism. Okay, wait, LA. I wish Shannon was here. They had to disband their whole police force. The feds had to go in there. They were rife with racism. How much more examples do you need? I hate when people use those tropes.
And all right, and just to be clear, I don't think Kenny or I is saying that it's an excuse for failure or that we didn't get to any place we wanted to be. We're specifically speaking on the things that it affected, not prevented, but it's an effect. Something happened because of cause and effect. Now, however we got to our end goal, we still figured out a way to get to our end goal.
I digress.
And I wouldn't say, I mean, you wouldn't say that a lot of those people had a victim mentality if they were to come out and tell their story about how it affected them either. I don't think we would look at those people and say they had a victim mentality.
Why are you using that if racism was the
just because that's what it was based on. That's why it was based on.
No, that's what was brought into the conversation
right
after Marcus established his question while Viz asked him to answer my question first. Marcus answered his question, then interjected that.
Are you not hearing?
You were paying attention.
Are you not hearing what I said? Because the original conversation started from JR's question about victim mentality, and then it was brought up about and he asked Marcus about the victim mentality, and Marcus responded and said, "Does racism exist?" And that's why I said I didn't say that's not it. Go back. Yes, it is.
No, it's not. But because Fizz asked that question, because what
I
he
asked
was
that
talking
question.
about, that's later on. It was earlier.
Well, Marcus
Right behind
asked me. Marcus asked me, does racism exist?
Right after you asked him the question about victim mentality.
Right.
Man, I'm not sure we're gonna get nowhere with this, man. Let's go ahead and get to this.
Let me
So
just
all
say
I
this
was
real
simply
quick.
saying was I wouldn't say any of those people, including Kenny, who experienced those things, you would say they have a victim mentality when they tell their stories. I don't know why Kenny decided to fight me on that, but I was actually agreeing with him. But all right.
I perceive that if that's something that you hold on to throughout your life, then that is a victim mentality. Now, I was hear me out. So I will say this because I grew up in the hood too. I ran the streets, had a felony, carried a pistol on me, caught a gun charge, the whole you did. I went through that whole lifestyle, gang banging, getting beat up by the police, all of that, bro. But what changed was the fact that I changed my mentality in the way that I carried and presented myself. So with me doing that, I can now feel comfortable with the police pulling up behind me. They flag me, whatever the case may be. I'm not worried. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not the mindset that I have. And if a situation does escalate, I know how to handle myself not to de-escalate it in that moment. So, and that's just been my experience.
I got a question for you, Viz.
Real quick, let me answer him, Darwin. If it was if I embodied victim mentality, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
That's fair. I never said that you had the victim mentality.
I was just giving clarity because it sounded like that's where the conversation, your point of your POV after I said what I said was going. So, but you gave me clarity. I digress.
I just got one question for you, Viz.
Yeah.
So we talking about, right? I think right now we're touching on police brutality, right?
That's essentially what Kenny brought up.
So let me ask you this: out of all of the situations and articles and headlines and unfortunate situations you've heard or experienced, how much of those situations would you say happened because the person who was victimized believed in the system or believed that the officers wearing a uniform were gonna perform, their duty according to the procedures? They had so much faith in it, they were willing to resist in certain times, or they just put their life in the hands of, okay, this is how it's supposed to be done. I'm gonna fight because this is the law and this is my right. You get what I'm saying? Because the reason why I'm asking you this, because I firmly believe that police officers, just because they got a uniform and badge and have to go get training, that doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna do what's right every time.
For sure.
So I'm not sold on it, or I'm not confident enough to put my life in the hands on whether they're not gonna do right by me. Therefore, I'm gonna carry myself a specific way when I'm pulled over or I'm challenged, or even if my rights are violated and they tell me to get out. And I know deep down inside, I don't want to get out of the fucking car. I know that, look, if I say I don't want to get out and I'm well in my right to say that out, chances of this motherfucker not performing his duty right is reserved under him willing to do it right or take my life. So I'm not going to give that option to him. You get what I'm saying?
But what other option do you have?
To fucking get out of the car.
Okay.
Pretend like you're not a victim and assert you have human basic rights via the Constitution. Because